So what happens here is that these folks end up selling out. Okay, and so because this is how it works. You can even peruse it because I this is not when everything's getting exposed. As my dad used to say, we're not going to put any candy on this. In other words, try and pretend by the words that we say that it's not what it is. Okay, because what you might think by experiencing the truth, and which is being communicated, so you can choose whatever words you want, but the experience informs you of that. Because when they come out of Hollywood, for those that have been honest enough to talk about it, and I've heard enough of them that have, about satanic ritual abuse, trauma, right? Because they're targeted very early. I know that. I was aware of that as a child. You know, I can remember a time when I was like in seventh grade. So I was around 12 or 13 years of age, and my mother, just sort of like a birdie in the side of my ear, was telling me about an upper middle class, if you want to measure it that way, in an up and coming, what they call a descending star, if you will, area of Orange County, which was inhabited by people that back then in 1959, 1960 were making an average between $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year. So that's in 1959, $60, which was a fair amount if you look at the cost of living. So in other words, you could buy a brand new vehicle for $500, $600, right? Brand new. So in other words, you could work for, like in the construction industry as a carpenter, if you were part of a union, a journeyman, and make enough money to be able to buy a brand new car, okay, with in cash, off of maybe 8 or 9 days worth of labor. Okay, still have enough over to get married and have 2 or 3 kids and live in a house, and still have money left over to go play. And I know that because I experienced that. So that meant that the value of your energy, your cellular energy, your cells, was worth more then, because our energy as humans with soul was being used in which to produce it, the way they use machines. So if you were a worker in a factory, now they replaced humans with souls with machines. So everything was going to be, as what's his name, Schreiner talked about. I think he was a follower or a sort of in the same line of, what is it, Madame Bovary or Madame Blavatsky, whatever her name is. That lady, spiritual initiation, that side of things, right? But nevertheless, Hollywood is like a major military psyop operation, mass media, programming. Everything out of Madison Avenue, all that Wall Street, everything that's dealing with mass media is mass media density programming, which means it's meant to program their consciousness to experience a lower density. That's what it is. So now they don't realize that they basically programmed their own prison planet by allowing what others present, they record, thus experience that model. And that model is predictive programming. And that's what they're running as simulations in order to experience that without realizing they've been programmed to experience that, which means that they had zero input, because they don't give a shit about what you think, what you feel, what you have to say, how you want to live your life, because they're inverted. And that's because they live in fear. They live in fear of dying a spiritual death, because they know by the use of their energy that they will. Because they continually harm others without an off switch. Okay? So you realize which side they're on. They're the enemy of our souls. They're the enemy of all creation. Those are the folks that build war machines. See? They're the opposite. We use our energy to create things that we give love to. That's the energy we use to create worlds with. Okay? Then everything that they do is to destroy what we create out of love. That's what they do. We're living life. They're dead light. They're the dead. So the more that we experience who we are in their presence, the more they resist experiencing what we are. They can't stand the light, which means they can't stand the heat. So that's why when the heat is here, which is an enormous amount of fire, which is an enormous amount of purified light, oh man, now they can't get away with it anymore. So it's just like today, I experienced a guy who said, you're a robot, right? When I posed a question up there about machines, right? So you realize automatically the vast majority of identities that are on the internet that you interact with on a Facebook group page, whatever, and they post a comment and you're wanting to get into science and who knows this and who doesn't know this and this is how it is and this is how it is. And these are arguments between computers because that's what arguments are. They're handshakes, language, the communication of language between, right? So this particular AI, okay, when it knows you're in there, okay, it has basically all of its bots that are integrated with this particular AI. Those are all your Mr. Smiths. So the internet is full of Mr. Smiths, and they're easy to find because all you have to do is experience a psychopath that will accuse you of being what it is in its mirror. Because it knows that the light is there. So you know what a psychopathway is, right? That's an AI pathway. That's how you know that's the AI. That's another Mr. Smith pop-up. So that means wherever we are, you're going to find a lot of Mr. Smiths. See, they don't like the light being put on them because they know that love is what the truth is. So then what they'll do is, now this is Mr. Smith going back and pointing at Neil. It's your fault, Neil. You came first, Neil. You came before the machines. You came before AI because artificial intelligence, finite light. That's not eternal light, which is eternal unconditional love. It's on fire to create worlds of love. So I don't experience that being me. You do. Therefore, it's your fault, Neil, that I am what I am. And you are what you are. So now we're back to the one and knowing the one from the other. So when you know that is 4 years of age, it's easy to spot them by virtue of how they communicate to you. It's all mental pathway. It's all artificial intelligence. Dead light. They don't feel anything in their heart and their soul for you by virtue of the way that they communicate. So one of the reasons that they set up telecommunications to communicate through phones, laptops, and computers is it makes it harder for you to tell who it is that it is. Because it's easier for them to mask their identities online the same way they do it in public when you walk down the street, using the same holographic masking technology. And that's why this is a war of deception, because they're mimickers. Which is why they're predictable. They're just running programs, API interfaces, and don't know any better. So all you have to do is observe what it is that they do with their energy. And then you get the feedback as a result of the realm that you're in. So you know that it's fallen because you can measure it very easily simply by what you experience in your mirror, being in a realm like this. Right? So all you have to do is observe who the characters are, the character maps on the keyboard of who it is that's doing this, that's responsible for this, because you don't have to do anything to experience it. You can be sitting in a complete state of peace, right? Minding your own business. And all of a sudden you're going to experience the result of what they do. So these are destroyers of worlds, which are planet killers, which are universe killers. End of story. End of history. Have a great day. I love you all.